Hi guys. Um, as you can see from the title of this video, it's going to be a very serious and somber one. One that's really difficult for me to do. Because it's going to show the deep part of me. And it's not easy. I've always been the most honest, decent, loving, giving, humble, and kind human being. So I've been an amazing wife, amazing mom, all those good things. And I've always been real. What you see is what you get, and I've always been transparent. But this hits deep in the soul. And it's something I've gone through in my life. Even though I went through some very sad things in my childhood, I really had a good childhood as far as family and the life that we had. But there were some moments in my life that really hurt me mentally, physically, and emotionally, that I hope to one day be able to come on here and tell you my story. But I didn't really deal with depression. I believe I had it in my first marriage because I went through domestic violence and I was mentally, emotionally, and physically strained and abused. And so I believe I've had it then, but I didn't think about it as depression or thought about, it being a part of mental illness, because to me, mental illness was being schizophrenic or bipolar or something like that. And you always want to give respect to that because it's a very sad thing to have and go through. And we always want to respect and, think about those people that have to deal with it. And so I never thought that depression, anxiety, all of those things were a part of mental illness. You're just not, I hate to say I won't even say it because it's not a good way to explain it, but it's a true way to explain it, but it's not a good way to explain it. Some words are really hard that are true but can't, I don't know. It's just really difficult because I feel like they're in that same box of mental illness, but they're two different things because it's two of those things like schizophrenic and bipolar have to be controlled with medication. And so does anxiety and depression. Of course, you also could be on medication, but I always felt like schizophrenic and bipolar was really something so serious that shouldn't even be compared to. But depression and anxiety certainly has it's diagnosed, and I don't even know how to compare it or explain how each one is different, or or one's to the right, one's to the left. I just feel like bipolar schizophrenic is so serious and there's no cure. You have to be on severe medications, and if you get off that medication, I've had friends with schizophrenic and bipolar, and if they miss one dose, their whole life could turn upside down. And they can hurt themselves as well as others, and their whole life is just unpeaceable. I just know it's scary. It's scary. But I also want to give respect to the people that go through depression and anxiety, because it's so real. It's so real. And it's mentally, emotionally, and physically draining and painful. But I just want to keep each one in its categories, to give each one respect. But they both have they can be very hurtful. Anyway, so I hope I'm explaining myself right. And maybe I'll do some more research and really see how people compare it and how it's all classified under the same thing as mental illness. But I just want to research and get the statistics and, you know, what scientists say about it, what doctors say about it, and what people that are going through that journey feel about it. So I'll probably do a different video on that kind of info. Anyway, I just wanted to show you a few things, because there's a few things that have been helpful tools for me to get through depression when I'm going through it. Sometimes when I go to depression, sometimes it's worse than other times, and sometimes it's not, you know, sometimes I could get through it. I shouldn't say over it, but through it faster. And sometimes I could go years without feeling it. But I think the last time I went through depression was like 2 years ago at the most. And I really felt in a dark, dark hole. I really felt. And what I mean when I say dark hole, because you could go through depression and kind of, you know, do things to help yourself manage it and get through it. And you can like almost feel it coming on, and you can try to prepare for it. And you know when it's like, okay, I am going through this and it hurts, but I know just what to do. And then sometimes you go through it and it's so scary because you're not in control. And sometimes those things that worked for other times may not work for these times when you're in that dark hole. And dark hole, I mean by feeling like there's no way out. Like you're so exhausted and you're so mentally, emotionally, physically drained that when you get those feelings of there's no way out and you're done, you feel like you can't come back from it even if you wanted to. And sometimes, you know, people have asked me, well, what causes depression? You know, what made it happen? And sometimes it's an accumulation of stuff. It just accumulated. It's like a bomb that explodes. And you just have to like hold on to your family and your faith and all these other tools that you've learned that work for you. Like your life depended on it, because it does. And so this dark hole it gets to the point where you almost can't stop it or change it or save yourself, because it's gotten to the point now where the feeling is beyond you. It's almost like it's too late. But it's not impossible to come out of that dark hole. It's just scary because you never know if you'll make it back out. And I've had, I would say like 3 big episodes where I'm in the dark hole. And one was when my mother passed away. I felt like my whole world came crumbling down. She was my best friend, and I felt like she would always have the perfect word or the right way to, or just knew how to fix everything. She was invincible, unbreakable. She was the one person that I could trust, that I knew could save me. And that I just missed. I missed our talks. I missed just going places and doing things together and the time that we spent together. And I just missed it so much. And hers was so unexpected. It wasn't like when my dad got cancer. He had it for 6 years, and we kind of had time to prepare, even though you're never ready to let go. But you kind of had time to prepare. You knew this was eventually what was going to happen. But when my mother was like a sudden heart attack, and then the doctors are saying she needs a triple bypass, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And she needs to be transferred from one city to another. And, you know, her choices are, you know, she does the bypass and has a chance to live, even though everything's against her. You know, her health is against her. She had different things that were against her. Or she doesn't have the triple bypass and she enjoys, You guys hug her and kiss her and play music or do whatever you have to do to have your last 24 hours together, because that's all she would have had. And just watch her collapse. None of the choices were great. But I told her, don't leave me with this decision alone. Please don't leave me alone with this decision. And she said, none of them sound good, just like what I said. And she said, but if there's a chance for me to live, I want to live. So I'll take the triple bypass. And she did. And the operation itself was successful. The triple bypass operation was successful. But she suffered a massive stroke under anesthesia in the surgery. So she lost her knowledge. You know, it affected the left part of her brain, which is your knowledge, your memory, your everything. You're just in a vegetable state. She lost her speech. She was paralyzed on her right side because it affects the opposite side. And she was just dependent on life support. There was no quality of life. And I had a hard time letting her go, and I didn't want to let her go to the end. I refused. Because I knew God could make a miracle, and I had to have my faith. And just me and one brother were against it, and all the rest of my siblings were like, she wouldn't want to live like this, which, we should just let her go. But I was like, oh my God, how dare you just let her go? So anyway, eventually, she lost her sight, and she was in coma, and she came out of it for 2 days, which was a miracle within itself. The doctor said that was impossible. That was not going to happen. She didn't have feelings, but every time a sibling came in, she cried with emotion. You could see her sadness, and she knew she was going to have to let go. I was there every day in the hospital, all day, every day. I didn't go home for like a month. I slept on the hospital floor, hoping that if I wake up, I would go and see her, that this would all be over with. Like she would survive it and come out of it. And she didn't. She ended up passing away, and my whole world came crumbling down. And then I had just had a baby a month prior, and I was going through severe postpartum. I didn't want to hold my baby, but I didn't want her to be away from me because I wanted to keep looking at her. Like, they had a specialist that would come and take care of me while my husband was at work, and she would say, you want me to take the baby? I'm like, no, like, leave her right there. I wanted her by me because I knew I loved her, but I just couldn't hold her. She would say, do you want to hold her? And I'm like, I would just shake my head. I remember clear as day shaking my head, like, no. But then she said, well, you want me to take her? No, leave her there. And I'm like, isn't she so beautiful? She's the prettiest eyes. So I never had the feeling of wanting to hurt her, which I heard people go through that. Brooke Shields was one of the people. I knew I loved her and I wanted her, but I just couldn't hold her. I don't know what it was. I wanted to be in a dark room, and it was just horrible. I think I went through it over 6 months. In between 6 months and a year, I went through this postpartum. And then, of course, my mom dies. And so it's like 2 bombs exploded, and I was so suicidal. I contemplated suicide. I tried to commit suicide. And thank God my children, my husbands, were so loving and supportive and helped me and protected me. But and my daughter, Diana, was so key because my son was just like, he was 3 years old. And my daughter, of course, like I said, she was just born. And Adriana was about 8, and she helped me physically with the house and the food so much. She always loved to clean, so that was a given for her, but she went above and beyond. And just one day she said, Mommy, I know you miss your mom, but if you leave, I'm gonna miss you too. Your mom, I'm sure she wanted many times to give up, but she saw you, and you were the last one, and you were her baby, and she didn't. She was there to see you graduate. She was there to see you get married. She was there to see you have your kids. I want you to see my graduation day and my wedding and my children. And when she said that to me, it was like the pain of losing my mom, of course, didn't go away. It still hasn't, and it's been... My mother's been gone since 1998, so it's been like, what is it? oh my God, I can't even count right now, 20 something years. And the pain is still there. I've learned to be strong, to move on and, you know, be happy and take care of my life and me and my children. But I still miss her dearly. I still cry. I still am sad. And I think I always will be. But when she said that to me, it was just like this little 8-year-old, and I'm like, she woke me up and gave me the inspiration to get up, fix myself, and move forward, because I had 3 little kids that needed me and a husband that wanted me. And I also went to my church because I've always, since I was a kid, I always had this thing about God, loving God and wanting to know more about Him and being dedicated to my faith as a child. I had questions, and when I went to church with my mom, I listened. I didn't play. I listened carefully, and I always had my little quarter to give in the collection, and I always had one question for the Father after church. He probably said, "What's wrong with this little girl?" So I had a question for him, and he would kindly answer my question, because I would really look in the Bible and see things, and I wanted to know what that meant. So my faith has always been huge, huge. And so I went to my priest, and I told him of wanting to suicide and depression and postpartum and all that stuff. And he said, you know, your mom wouldn't want you to go because she knows that you deserve to live because you love life. But more importantly, those children need you. She didn't give up on you like your daughter said. Don't give up on them. She's going to be waiting for you with open arms when it's your time. But until then, that's not what she would want. And you know, if you do that, because the Catholics believe if you commit suicide, it's a sin, a huge sin, because you're taking control, making a decision that wasn't God's decision. That it's God's decision. And you have to respect that. When he turns the page and your name is on it, okay, because he's calling you, it's your time. But you don't have the right to make that decision. So he said, if you do that, you won't see your mom because you won't go to heaven. And so between those two things, I just like got up, refocused, examined my heart and my mind and my body, and just woke up and gathered strength from those meaningful moments, from my faith, and from my daughter who I love dearly, who really needed me. And I picked myself up and I went on, and here I am. But hold on for a second. Sorry, I had to get some tissue and a pillow because my knees are killing me on this carpet. But so yeah, so that was a huge moment in my life where I went really dark hole and I almost didn't come out of it. There was one more time when my health was so bad, and I had surgery. I had back surgery. That's how bad my back was. And it just had taken a toll on my mind and my body, and it was just really bad. I was tired of being in pain. I was tired of doing everything and nothing working. Ultimately, the surgery did work. That was like 20 years ago that I had the surgery. So I fell into depression and went to a very dark, dark hole again. That time I did have to be on medication. That was the first time I've ever been on mental medication, like anxiety or depression medication. And I was on it for a while. I've always been the one. I hate medication. I hate it so bad. I don't ever want to get addicted to it. I don't want to get immune to it either. I've never ever been addicted to anything. And I was always conscious that, like, I don't want to get addicted. I don't want anything to control my life. I want to be in control all times. Even though when I'm in depression, I'm not always in control. But I don't want it to be because of medication. But I respected the doctor's, you know, advice. And I took it for a while. And one day, you know, I went through months of, I would take a shower like 50 times a day. And I'm not kidding. When I say 50, I mean 50. Because I kept feeling like if I took that shower, it would make me feel better. And it didn't. I felt like I was going crazy. And I was in bed. You know, part of it was physically bedridden. And then times when I was good, it was just emotionally, mentally, I can't get myself out of bed. And I started to gain some weight. I don't know if it's from the medication or just from being in bed all the time. It was a really, really dark time, and it went on for months. It felt like it was years. And then one day I decided, this is not life. This is not what I want. I'm tired. Again, my kids need me. Again, my husband needs me. This is not me. This is not what I want. This is not the way I want to live. I refuse. And if I don't fix it, nobody's going to fix it for me. Medication is not fixing it. Doctors are not fixing it. Nobody's going to fix it. I have to pull myself up again. I had to crawl myself with every strength that I had left to get out of this hole, and I did. I took myself off of medication right away, and the doctor was like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that with depression medication. You have to slowly wean yourself out of it. You can't do that. It's dangerous. And I'm like, I don't care. I stopped it like a week ago, and I'm feeling fine, and maybe God's with me. Maybe it's just not meant to me to be affected by it. But he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that without telling me. That's not how it works. And he was just, the fear in his face was like, oh my God, this girl has no idea. Thank God nothing did happen to me, and I heard it really does. So that was another time, and I can't remember offhand. I'm 55, my God. I have to go back in time, but and right now, I'm in a heavy, heavy depression. I feel like I'm going towards that dark hole, or I'm in that dark hole, but it's different this time. It's almost like, and then the last time, which I said it was like 2 years ago, it was just, I was so tired of so much stuff. It was just a lot of different things were weighing on me. A lot of different things. I can't even explain that one. But that was the first time that I heard my own voice. I don't have multiple personalities. I don't have that kind of mental illness, not even close. Like I said, my respects to schizophrenic and bipolar mental illness. And it's not to take away from this type of mental illness because it's so real, it's so deep, it's so profound, it's so scary, it's so real. So it has also its respect. Hold on. This one is an accumulation of so much. Past, present, and future. Think so much that has happened within the last 10 years. That's how bad. It's just an accumulation of stuff that I can't get over. Stuff that hurts. Even after all that time, hurts horribly bad. The present, things that might be like I'm feeling or mentally, emotionally hurt in the present. I have physical pain because my back is damaged, my shoulders are damaged, even though I have an amazing doctor. Actually, I have 3 amazing doctors, one that takes care of my women's health care, my primary care physician, and the one that's a specialist in pain management that takes care of my back and shoulders. So we're doing all the surgical procedures and all the medication, all the stuff that needs to take care of it. And I know with time, I hope to get stronger and better. Of course, I need to go back to physical therapy. I just had 2 surgical procedures. Need to go back to physical therapy because that's going to be key. But it's just being exhausted of so much physical pain. I was just diagnosed with something else. It's not deathly or terminal, nothing, but you have to take care of yourself. And I'm going to do a separate video on our new health update and changes. But it's just the physical health pains and conditions that have taken a toll on me that I'm so tired. And then there's so much emotional, mental pain. It's beyond measure because it's accumulated. That it's so heavy and so strong, and there are days or hours that I'm good and I'm happy and I'm moving along, and then there's hours where I just want to cry. I just want to cry, and I get these thoughts and these feelings. And so I'm holding on to my faith because I say you know, I talk to God every night. I call it a talk. It's prayer/talk, because I don't pray just let me do certain prayers, the Hail Mary or this or that, the Our Father. Those are included. But I really have a conversation, a good, like, at least 15-minute conversation with God every night. That's my ritual. That's what I have to do. That's what helps me. I have 2 devotional books that I read at night. It's like reading the Bible. It's inspiration, encouragement, and it all comes based on the Bible. Oh, what else? And I just I have my own space and time for meditation with God. And I just love my spiritual connection. And I'm holding on to it, dear life, like my life depended on it, because it does. And then I'm trying to hold on to my family. You know, they're going above and beyond to help me through this. And I love them and I appreciate them so much for it. God knows I have an amazing husband and amazing children. I really do. I know people will say that they're biased. I have the most loving, giving, humble, kind, respectful children. Nobody smokes or drinks. They will drink like a wine cooler when it's summer. We're having barbecues. They all graduated from high school. My two girls went to college. One graduated. My daughter's married, has a beautiful daughter, great husband. My other daughter just got engaged, is going to get married next year. That's also weighing on me because we're best friends. She's my right hand. She's my best friend. I'm trying to prepare myself to let her go. And I don't want to be selfish, but it's not even until next year, and I'm prepared to enjoy our last year together because we go everywhere together. We do everything together. I was that way with my other daughter, and I had a hard time when she got married letting go. But this daughter and my son got me through it. Now when she leaves, I have my son. He's autistic, and I know he's going to be such a help getting me through this because I love him to death. He's my best friend, too. He's my angel, he's my best friend, and he's just perfect. And I know we already have a special bond, and I know it's gonna be even more intense when my daughter leaves because it's just me and him and my husband. But it's gonna be me and him when my husband's not here, especially. And I'm already planning, we gotta go do things, we gotta go places, we gotta make it special since it's just me and him, and now it's his turn because everybody had their specific turn with me. We always were family-oriented, we did everything as a family, but I always had my individual, bonding and moments with each of my children. And as each left, it gave me time to bond with the next one even more deeply and more special, and so that'll be his turn. So I'm seeing the positive of it, but I'm seeing the sadness of it. It's so hard. It's a lot of other things that have accumulated through the years that are deeper, way deeper, that I don't really want to go into specific details because it's sacred to me. It's private and it's sacred. And there's certain things that you should keep to yourself and that they're sacred in your life. And I do. I'm an open book. I tell it like it is. I'm transparent. I've shared my entire life, but there's few things, especially when it comes to my family, that I hold near and dear to my heart and that are sacred and that I choose because it's not necessary or important to share with anybody else. It's our thing, whether it's positive or negative. It's our thing. So, and I hope, and I know that people understand what I'm trying to say. So it's a huge accumulation of things, and I'm trying to deal with it day by day. Sometimes it's hour by hour. I have revamped my entire house, room by room. I finally got the living room done. I only need my coffee table, that's it, and a desk for my husband in the dining room, and I'm done. And then just twerking a few little tiny things here and there. Like I want to get the mixed tiles and put a family design to it. So little things like that. I need to get new towels and stuff for my kitchen. But they're little tiny things that can be fixed in a snap. So yeah, my daughter is about to get home and I don't want her to see me crying. So I just wanted to share with you. I'm going to go into more depth. And this mental illness, might have to be a series as well. But I wanted to get started. I've been wanting to do it, and part of me wanted to go outside in the fresh air and do this video. And some of the parts of the series, mental illness series, probably will be outside because I love the nature. I want to be in fresh air. I want to share that part of me outside and not always inside. So this is going to be a series. It's going to be several parts. I don't know how many parts. But I feel that this might be one thing that I could grab onto that might help me. I'm trying to grab onto everything that could possibly help me get through this because it's so scary. So first of all, it's my faith. It's, like I said, having that meditation time and space with God, having that talk prayer with him every single night without fail. I cannot possibly go to bed without doing it. Reading my devotionals every night. I love to sing and hear Christian music. That's another part of my spiritual journey. I need to get back to church, with the pandemic. That's the thing that weighed on me as well, is not being able to go to church. But I felt like God understood. He preferred us to be compassionate, not selfish, just because we want to go to church and we felt it was essential and God would protect us. No, God sends blessings on earth to protect you. He'll be with you, but he's not going to physically come down here and fix you like doctors and scientists and the blessings that he sends to do. But he'll be spiritually there as your spiritual father to support you and protect you and help you. But you got to accept the physical blessings that he provides on this earth. Part of that is vaccinations. It's been proven through the centuries that it's worked, or decades, whatever you want to call it, that it's worked, that it saved us. This is not something new or rocket science. But that's my feeling. We are all completely vaccinated. I'm so grateful and so blessed. We all are, and I never want to take that for granted. So we will continue to be vigilant. We will continue to go above and beyond to follow all CDC guidelines, especially wearing masks and social distancing. We wear masks from the time we leave the house to the time we get back. Sometimes even in the house, depending on who's here, or what the situation is. But I need to blow my nose.